Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be utilizing this pork loin that I received at the food bank. My plan is to break this into several different types of cuts, and then we're gonna vacuum seal some of it, and then, we're gonna be cooking dinner too. Even if you guys don't receive stuff like this from the food bank, it's cheaper to buy big pieces like this, big cuts of meat, and to break it down yourself. So I think it's super important to start learning how to break down meat, how to portion it, how to freeze it. I got this when it was completely frozen. Now that does not mean that I can't refreeze the portion. As long as your meat is thawed correctly, you can refreeze it into portions just fine. So don't worry about that. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Carolina and I live in Montana. I do a lot of food bank hauls, pantry cooking, and canning and preserving on my channel. If that's the kind of content you're into, I hope you'd consider subscribing. I would love to have you as a part of my family. All right, let's get into this pork loin. All right, I got it out of the bag. Also, I get some comments on rinsing meat and the fact that I don't rinse my meat. And that is another common misconception, that you have to rinse your meat when you get it out of the package. Sanitation nowadays is really good in meat packaging plants, and they actually suggest that you don't wash your meat because it's more likely that you will cross-contaminate in your kitchen and have dripping juices everywhere. That's what I read anyway. So I don't wash my meat, but if that's something that you want to do, go right ahead. Now my plan is I'm probably going to can half of this into pork chunks. We don't really eat too much pork. I always feel like I overcook it, honestly. So it could just be I need some more practice. It's just always really dry. All right, so this is probably one I'm going to cut up into chunks and can. Or you can, let's see, I'm gonna possibly flatten this. Oh no, we'll see, we'll see. Now, if you want 1-inch thick chops, usually 1 inch is about 2 fingers. So 2 fingers will get you 1 inch. See? So then you have 1-inch chops if that's what you're looking for. Oh, I need to put the towel down. If your cutting board is slipping on you, just put a wet towel underneath it. And then it doesn't slip anymore. Helps grip it to the counter. So we'll do another inch. I got some good 1-inch chops there. So there's 6 portions. So I might just cut these into portions, guys, because it's probably enough for 6 more right here. And then 4 there. So 5's pretty good because the kids are to the point now where they don't all eat their own portion usually. They only have like half. So 5 chops for 1 meal would be good for my family of 6. There we go. So that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is get some saran wrap. Put it down there. Put a couple of my chops here. And then I'm going to flatten these out. Got a cheap little meat mallet tenderizer here. There you go. You see how much flatter these are? So these would be better for frying because they're not as thick, so that you don't have to do them as long. And then I'm going to go ahead and get these in a Ziploc bag. I'm sorry, not a Ziploc, a vacuum seal bag. gonna do it again with the other ones. Now, if you wanted to keep these thicker, you can. Get out of here. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the other ones. Now, you can keep these thick if you like thick chops. I prefer thinner ones, so that's why I'm taking the time to do this to it. And that way I don't have to do this when I'm ready to cook them. This is already done for me. Taking the extra time to do it now. Save myself some grief later. Alright guys, so I'm done with my prep area right now with the raw meat. So I'm going to take a minute and take all of my equipment that I use to cut the raw meat and get it out of the way, and then I'm going to scrub my counter really good before I do anything else. It's really important when you're working with raw meat to make sure that everything stays sanitized and clean. You don't want to cross-contaminate and accidentally get your family sick. So just take the time to make sure everything's really cleaned up. I just like to use a sponge with soapy water. All right, all clean. And then I'm gonna vacuum seal one of these. I put them both in bags and then realized I'm using one set for dinner. So that's okay, I got 2 meals out of that, 2 good size meals. So everybody's gonna get their own nice, big, flattened pork chop. And then some sides with it. I like to make sure it's nice, and you have to have the cut in the hole here, and then make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. Vacuum sealed, and I'm gonna write. And so I'm just gonna write pork chops, boneless. My lovely handwriting. And then you always want to put the year and the month and the year. Beautiful. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start dinner. So what my plan is, I got my pork chops here, and I got some breadcrumbs. I'm gonna be making some homemade shake and bake. So we're making homemade shake and bake, and then I got some sweet potatoes here I'm gonna throw in the oven, and then I have some broccoli. So I'm just gonna make like kind of like a sheet pan dinner, except all on different sheets. I'm just gonna rub a little bit of olive oil on these sweet potatoes. Get them covered up.
Now, Mama, where is my piggy bank? My Elsa piggy bank that is not broken.
I'm gonna sprinkle some salt over these. I do enjoy eating the sweet potato skin. I think it's good for you and it tastes good. Alright, so I got my oven just set at 350. I'm going to cook all this at 350. Potatoes first. Alright, now that those are in, I'm going to start by doing 4 cups of breadcrumbs. And these are my homemade breadcrumbs. You just take like bread ends and then dehydrate them, or you can put them in your oven to dry them out and then put them through a blender or a food processor. Bam. Shelf-stable breadcrumbs. I can link this below. This is in my canning my banana bread video if you want to learn how to make your own breadcrumbs. So 2 are 4 cups of breadcrumbs. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of paprika. If my spices are clumping, I just get in there and break them up a bit. Break it up, get out of here. Okay. Paprika, tablespoon. This recipe also calls for celery salt if you want to do that. I will not. Oh, that was supposed to be a teaspoon. Whoopsie. Okay. Alright, teaspoon of black pepper. This is half a teaspoon of garlic salt. But I'm just going to put in like a tablespoon of garlic powder. This is really, guys, you can literally put any seasonings you want in this. It's my leek powder. I'm gonna do some parsley, some oregano, and then some basil too. Just a little bit of each. Okay, so we're gonna mix all of this up. Nice seasoned breadcrumbs. The last thing for this is 1/3 cup of oil. So I'm gonna add in olive oil here. And the oil is really what makes it like the shake and bake, because that oil is gonna help it stick. I'm gonna add in a little more. You want it like kind of crumbly. You want it to have some moisture, not too dry, but not too wet, you know, just right. There you go. So that's done. Give it a smell. Oh yeah, it smells good. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put some of this in a container here. So about half of it. And then we'll put our pork in there. And this is what's left, probably about half a cup, but I'm not going to save this because it has raw pork juice in it, and to me that's not worth saving, so that's why I just did a little bit. We still have about 2 cups of our breadcrumbs we can put in a Ziploc bag and put away. You do have to keep this in the fridge though. So this is going in our 350-degree oven, our pork chops here. And then the last thing for this dinner is I'm going to open up this bag of broccoli I received. Then I'm going to do olive oil, salt, garlic powder, and some black pepper. And then you're just going to shake. It'll fit. Get it on there. I'm gonna wait till the sweet potatoes and the pork chops bake for about 10 minutes before I put this broccoli in. All right, all of our food just came out. Our broccoli's done, pork chops are done, and then these are nice and squishy. So everything took probably, I had these in there for about 45 minutes, and then the pork chops were in there for about 30, and then about 20 minutes on the broccoli. Look at that char. Oh yeah. All right, and then here are the kids' plates. I got the sweet potato with a little bit of cream cheese and some cinnamon sugar. I took one pork chop and chopped it up between the 3, and then some broccoli. And then now a new fork. And that's what's for dinner. Here's one of our plates. One of my favorite things to serve with breaded pork is some chow chow, some pickled veggies. And that is the way that I utilized that pork loin that I got. Ended up getting 2 meals out of it, one for the freezer and one for dinner that night. And it's funny, the kids kept calling it elk. They're like, Mama, this elk is so good. So they're already like in their head that they love elk, even though it was pork. They kept calling it that. So that was great. They ate it up. I ended up having to cut up another pork chop to split between the 3, which was great news. And yeah, we had a really good dinner, and that's an easy shake and bake recipe that you can make. I keep mine in the fridge. I don't know, it could be left out. User's discretion on that. I also wanted to take a minute and go off subject and talk about the live that I did last night where I was trying that 14-year-old cranberry sauce, and I'll give it away, it was not good. So that was just fun, little experiment to do. Thank you for everybody who came to my live and were asking me questions. It ended up being a 2-hour and 40-minute long live because you guys just were there and kept asking, and I was having a lot of fun, and I really appreciate that. So that's definitely one thing I'm going to be doing more often, is just taking the time to, even if I'm just prepping or cooking or something. You see I have mishaps in the kitchen all the time. My chicken fell on the floor, you know. So I had a lot of fun, and I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody who stopped by or who's watching the replay. You don't have to watch it. 2 hours and 40 minutes is long, but I love that I was able to just spend that time with you guys, and it really did feel like just talking to friends, and I love that. So thank you guys, thank you so much. I wanted to show you the broth that we finished. I ended up getting almost 4 quarts of beautiful chicken stock from those drumsticks. I think like the paprika that's in that garlic seasoning on the Costco drumsticks really makes a difference in the broth. But look at that color. So I'm gonna be canning this up probably in quarts because I have a lot of quarts right now. And then here's all of our guts from the chicken. There's a little bit of broth in here too. But look what it did to those bones. Like, you can literally break them. These ones are just disintegrating because you're absorbing all the nutrients from those, and that's what's incorporated in your broth. Like, this is, you can't buy this on a shelf, guys, for what this is, for the price. Like, that is free organic. Well, calm down and sweat. You know, all this is pretty much free because that's all from scraps that normally would have gotten thrown away. So that's how you save money, and that's how you start eating high quality ingredients that you don't have to pay a buttload for. You can make it yourself and it'll be way better, trust me. Once you start making your own broth, you're gonna get addicted. So I will also do another video on just Instant Pot broth, so I'm not gonna force you to watch my 2-hour-long live to see that. But I just wanted to stop and thank you guys. Thank you for watching the video on the pork loin. Buying in bulk is a good way to do that. I might go and do that too and go to my local Winco and kind of see what a price is for a long one, and maybe do more of a breakdown for you guys instead of just the 2 that I got. I was expecting it to get a little more out of it, but it was a smaller one, so okay. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time on Mama Baird's.